Welcome to Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis. We're going to talk about baked goods in this week's program. The annual Taiwan Culinary Exhibition is going on from July 21st through the 24th, and I thought it would be good to have a Taiwan Talk related to food. Keith Binconi, my former colleague and previous host of this program, introduced me to Sally Song, founder of Heritage Bakery located on Hankou Street in downtown Taipei. Sally came to the ICRT studios to talk about her bakery and what sets it apart from the other numerous bakeries here in Taipei. Sally Song, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Could you tell me or tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and why you are here? What are we going to talk about today?
Sure. So I run a bakery in Taiwan, in Taipei actually, and started last year in September. Its name's Heritage Bakery and Cafe. It's called Heritage because the building which houses the bakery was passed down from my family from over 3 generations. Basically, at one point, all of my family lived in this building at one point in time. And unfortunately, they all moved away and they left it abandoned for over 20 years. So when it fell into my laps, there were a lot of things in this building. And what I tried to do was renovate it and also put a lot of the old furniture pieces back into the cafe and the bakery. And basically right now it's been almost a year and we mainly focus on American baked goods and we try to make it as authentic as possible.
Excellent. And where's the bakery located?
It's located near the Taipei main station. There is this street called 相机街, which is Hankou Jie, and we're one of the camera shops converted into a bakery. So there's a row of camera shops, and we're just one of them.
And then you guys.
Yes.
A bakery.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Very
kind
cool.
of out of the ordinary.
And what inspired you to open a bakery? I know you just said the building was left vacant for 20 years, so why come back and open a bakery?
Well, basically, I had moved back in 2011, and I always wanted to do something on my own. And then what I realized since moving back is that I can't find good American baked goods. So that's why I decided that, I wanted to do something that's going to be inspiring and also for many people to try what American goods actually taste like.
So what are your thoughts on local bakeries if you couldn't find American baked goods?
Yeah, I think it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I think there are some places that have maybe one good item. Maybe you can find a good carrot cake at one place, but then the rest of the items wouldn't necessarily be very American. So it's tough. There's not one place that's focused on American baked goods.
So all your baked goods are authentic American baked goods?
Yeah, I would say because we try to emulate the texture of American baked goods, so it's not going to be the very soft type of texture that you find. And in a lot of the bakeries here, it has more of a rough texture. And also our sizes are also a little bit bigger, just like, American baked goods.
How have the local Taiwanese people taken to your baked goods?
It's been a long ways of educating the customers on what American baked good is and why is it the way that it is. For example, take our carrot cake, for example. When people hear carrot, they're like, oh my God, it's made out of carrot? I don't think I can have that. And then we have to cut tasters for them. And then when they had it, they'll be like, oh, well, it doesn't taste like carrot at all. And it actually tastes very good. So I think it's just about educating the customers here and taking the time to do that. But I think people do accept it. It's just that it takes a while. But the one thing that we have had to do is cut the sugar because usually American baked goods they're very sweet and people here don't like things that are so sweet. And also the sugar here in Taiwan and the sugar in the US, they actually taste very different. So that's what we have to do.
Well, speaking on the sugar, do you import any of your ingredients from the United States or elsewhere?
Yes, we mostly, to get the texture right, we use mainly American, French, and Italian flours. So we actually use all 3 on different products to get the right texture.
How has that impacted business?
I think it's tough to maintain this because obviously imported goods have a higher cost. Since we want to maintain that texture, it's really, really important for us to continuing to use these flours.
What are some of your best-selling or your favorites of your customers?
Our The best sellers are definitely our cinnamon rolls and our guava chiffon cake. Our cinnamon rolls just fly off the shelves. They have 4 different types of cinnamon in it. And our guava chiffon cake is like a spin on something that's like very, the chiffon cake was invented in the States like in the 1950s. And it's, you think angel cake, that's all like chiffon cake. But we actually infused Taiwanese red guavas into it and also fresh guavas on top. So it's actually something new. I think that's the idea, is to take something old and infuse something new into it.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, it is very good.
Oh, man. So in America, really sugary and really dense, buttery snacks are really prevalent, but there are also a lot of health-conscious options and health-conscious cafes popping up, with gluten-free options. Is that something you see yourself doing in the future, or is that something you do now?
As far as gluten-free goes, we don't do that right now just because there isn't such a big market for it yet in Taiwan. But I think that's definitely something we would explore in the future. But as far as being health conscious, I think the thing with sweets is that it's never good for you. But you want to have it because it makes you feel good, right? So what we want to do is actually make it less of a impact on your body. So we don't use any preservatives, we don't use any additives, and we actually don't use any food colorings either. So it's actually really hard to not use any of these 3 things in our baked goods.
So what was life like before you opened Heritage Bakery?
So I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area and had lived there for over 20 years. My background is mainly in retail. I worked for Pottery Barn and Gymboree. And then I moved back to Taiwan in 2011, and I worked in marketing for a luxury goods firm for a couple of years. But it was last year that I decided to do this, and I think it's been really meaningful since.
So what was the hardest part of opening up your bakery?
Wow. I think initially I thought it would be the product, actually making the product be consistent in quality would be the most challenging. But actually, since it's been a year, it's actually, I think people is really, really tough. And as far as managing the customers and also managing my staff, I think those 2 elements are the biggest challenges for us right now. We want to provide a really consistent level of service to people, but since turnover is really high, it becomes really tough. So, I hope that our customers can be patient with us as we find the right people to work with.
Yeah, I was talking to Baba Kevin of Baba Kevin's Barbecue.
Yeah.
And you know him?
I don't know him. I know of the Baba Barbecue, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was telling me it took him a year to really find the right people to run his restaurant. So, I mean, it might be the same thing for you. So is that the biggest learning curve that you've experienced, just managing?
Yes, and also having our customers expect, the right level of service from us. I think because in the U.S., if you go into a bakery, you don't expect to have table service or anything like that. And here in Taiwan, I think people definitely expect a higher level of service, and that's definitely been hard to cater to. And we try to make them understand that we can adhere to all your needs, but you need to tell us what you need, and we might not necessarily be able to provide all of it since we're short on staff sometimes. So yeah, I think definitely trying to cater to the level of service that people expect here is definitely a learning curve.
What is a typical day like for you?
A typical day. Wow. Every day is very different. So some days I'm in the kitchen all day trying to figure out what's the next interesting baked goods I should make. Some days I'm in the shop just pulling special shots on the first floor. So every day is really, really different. And I think that's why I like, about running my own business is that every day is just really different.
Is this the first business that you've started?
Yes, it is.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
And I see on the website that you offer dessert and beer pairings.
Yes.
How do you come up with those?
So we work closely with our beer vendor on this. Like he would come to the shop and we would lay out all of our desserts and he would bring all of his beer and we would try, all the desserts with the beer. And we would decide which one pairs with the best. And we've come up with like a lot of pairings that worked really nicely. So now we know like a dark, like a stout beer would go really nicely with something that has more butter and cheese in it. So we would pair it with like a stout with our caramel cheese tart. And then right now we have this mulberry IPA, this blackberry IPA. It pairs really well with our mulberry cheese tart because the blackberry and the mulberry just kind of like works well together. And it's like
amazing.
A perfect pairing for the summer, really.
Oh man, that sounds like tough work to taste
a lot
all
of
that
work,
dessert.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, drink all that beer. Drink responsibly, everybody.
I should probably invite you to our tastings, huh?
That would be amazing. I would very much like that. Yes. Yes, please. When do you have your tastings? Are they open to the public?
Oh, not currently, but I think we are thinking that maybe we should have something like an event where we have, it would be a co-branding event where we have, our desserts and the beers, and it would be like a fun event for people.
Okay. Speaking of an event that you're thinking of, what are your future goals, plans, or events that you're thinking of?
So I think the main thing in Taiwan is that things happen really fast as far as the food industry goes. So what I thought would be very, I think for this shop would be very interesting is to have a lot of pop-up events. So for example, later this month, we have a collaboration with a displayware company. They mainly sell displayware to like hotels and coffee shops. And what we're doing is a picnic event where they have all their display, and we'll have picnic specific items like little pies, hand pies, and things like that. And we'll turn our shop into this indoor picnic area. So I think that's the direction that we want to take the shop, is to have different pop-up shops and events going forward to make it interesting. The idea is to have the customer come in each time and experience something different.
That was Sally Song, founder of Heritage Bakery, located on Hankou Street here in Taipei. Thanks for listening to Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis.